Good afternoon, everyone. I hope y'all are doing well and can hear me. I'm in downtown Columbia, and unfortunately, we don't have the best internet, so I apologize if it's a little choppy at all during our presentation today. But I'm excited to be with you all, even though it is through the computer. My name is Elizabeth Wood, and I'm the Ag Literacy Director at South Carolina Farm Bureau. If you're not familiar, we're a nonprofit organization that works for farmers. We advocate for farmers in the legislative arena and in the educational arena, and do a lot with consumer education as well. In my position, I work with our women volunteers and all of our youth programs. So I'm going to touch on some opportunities that we have for you all. I also have my coworker, Carey Herndon, and I'm going to let her introduce herself real quickly, and then we'll get started.
Hi guys, I am Carey Herndon. I am the newly hired Director of Digital Media here at South Carolina Farm Bureau. So within my job, I handle the social media and videos, everything to help farmers tell their stories. So I'm excited to be joining Elizabeth today to help give y'all this workshop and help y'all get some tools to being a good agriculture advocate on.
Has become a new area, and where we advocate for agriculture is online. Social media has really kind of taken the stage in the last 10 to 15 years, and it's this new way where we can share information and advocate for ag, and being sort of a new platform and way to communicate. We have found some ways that are successful and have some tips that we want to share with you all. It's an interesting time because not only do we have all of these new ways to communicate with people, but people really care more now than ever about how their food was produced. People want to know how it was processed and how it was raised and all of the procedures that went into it. And thanks to the ability to share information online, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so there's definitely a need to be a voice for agriculture online, and especially in your role as FFA students and wanting to be leaders within your school and within your communities and tell others about ag. This is a great way for you all to be involved. There's two ways we're going to talk today about how you be an effective advocate online. And we're going to be talking about proactive engagement, and then we're going to also talk about reactive engagement. So obviously proactive is how you can be on the forefront of your story and your storytelling and how you're going to do that. So I have a couple tips here when you all are deciding how you're going to be involved online, how you want to be an advocate online. There's a couple things I want you to think about. And the first, knowing your purpose or knowing why. I don't want you to just go online and just start coming up with all this stuff, off the top of your head. I want you to be intentional about it and think about, what do you care about in the agriculture industry? What is your story? What is your connection? And kind of what's your purpose? Why do you want to share this information? Why is that important to you? And then build a community around that purpose and really create a way for you to serve as a resource to that community. I try to share a lot on my social media platforms, and I have found friends who, especially those who have kids, people are very, they care a lot about what they're feeding their children. And I have several friends who will come to me and say, I've heard this, I shouldn't be giving my kids X, Y, and Z. And so I'm able to have those conversations with them, but they've reached out to me because I have been proactive in sharing information. And so they know that I'm a trusted source and want to get my opinion. So definitely, build that community and serve as a resource to that community. And then lastly, stay consistent to your purpose or your why, and don't ever forget that. Don't ever stray from that and let it become too much or too frustrating to try to keep up with. Just stay focused on that why. And I'll ask you, where will you leave your handprint? There is a lot of different social media outlets. We are by no means telling you you need to go conquer them all, but think about where you can start small and where you can leave your handprint.
Okay, so like Elizabeth was saying, you don't have to conquer every platform. There's so many different platforms out there. So pick one or two that you like and you feel comfortable with, and pick the platforms that cater to the audience that you're looking to talk to. So on this slide, we've got a couple different platforms. Y'all know about Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We all know that Facebook is really just for keeping up with your parents and your adults in your life and keeping them up to date with what's going on. Facebook is used for information, it's used for shopping. But your age group typically likes to be on Instagram. And I personally love Instagram. That's my favorite social media platform. And there's so many different ways that you can be an advocate for agriculture on Instagram. Instagram's mainly photos and video sharing. And so it's really the site for today. There's tons of different features on Instagram that allow you to really tell a captivating story in a lot of different ways. And Instagram is kind of the combined site of all the great features on all of the other social media platforms. It's got stories like on Snapchat. IGTV is very similar to YouTube. And now there's the Reels feature that is very similar to TikTok. So Instagram is really good for interaction with your viewers. You can interact with them through comments, direct messaging. You can tag people in locations in your posts and in your stories. And that's connecting the dots and giving people other sources to go discover different sites and different people, different restaurants, different farms. It's really great for making those connections and interacting with your followers. You can also use hashtags. That's a great way to find different topics that you're looking for. And in the stories feature, you can do polls and survey questions that really start conversations. So while being an online advocate for agriculture, your goal is to start a conversation, because people are concerned about where their food comes from. People want to know. And like Elizabeth said earlier, people are more invested in the way that their food gets to their table. People are more invested in that now than they ever have been. So we really want to start fostering those conversations and making those connections. So a few of the features that I do want to touch on in Instagram that you as FFA members can really focus on for telling your stories. My favorite is the story feature. With the story feature, you can capture those everyday moments in a fun and casual way. So you can post a picture about what your FFA chapter is doing in their meetings. It's a great way to get people to see what your chapter is doing and want to be involved in that. You can post highlights of your SAE projects or your team competing in different competitions. And then with the highlight feature, you can put those stories together in a culmination over a period of time. And it really becomes a full picture story that someone can go back on and look at and really see what, as FFA members, you are doing throughout the year, throughout your chapter, throughout the state FFA program. You can really tell that story. And then the IGTV is also really great. You can use this for educational videos, presentations, anything that takes more than a minute to cover. This is a great way to talk about your SAE projects, or say a fundraiser that your FFA chapter is doing. You can put together a video that really tells more of the story and can get a better audience. And then the newest feature on Instagram, which I love, is Reels. So with my job, I look at the back end of social media and the analytics. And one thing with Reels is these videos, the way that people view them, when you click on a Reel and you start scrolling, it pops up any and every thing that you could imagine. You have no control over what video pops up next. So with the Reels, you're targeting non-followers, so you're getting a bigger audience. These videos can be seen by 2 or 3 times more people than what your normal posts are because they're going to a different audience. These Reels are very similar to TikTok, which y'all probably know a lot more about TikTok than we do. And so TikTok is really the social media platform that you all can make the biggest impact on because you know how to do it. TikTok's used for short form videos. They're 15 seconds to a minute. They're basically or primarily comedy or dance videos. There's a lot of recipes. So agriculture has a place within this platform. Your age group understands the trends and the viral challenges that are going on. You're very in tune to the audio and the different songs that are playing throughout TikTok. And that's how videos trend on TikTok, is through the hashtags and through those audio clips. Some of the really cool features with TikTok that you can use to help tell the agriculture story are features like duet, switch, and reaction features. When you see a video out there on TikTok that has some kind of misinformation about food, you can easily make a response with the switch feature and explain the facts, explain what you've learned in your ag classes or through your FFA chapter. And that's how you can make a big difference. And the last thing with TikTok is it's so easy to participate in viral challenges. So it's giving you content for you. So just have fun with it. Take it back to your chapter, take it back to your friends, and just have fun with it and share the message of agriculture. One viral challenge that you could participate in is the tell me you're an FFA without telling me you're an FFA. Here at South Carolina Farm Bureau, our Young Farmer and Ranchers program right now, during the month of June, we're participating in a challenge called Tell Me You're a Farmer Without Telling Me You're a Farmer. And I'd love to see what y'all can come up with those. So I'll be looking for some TikToks about being an FFA member or being a farmer. The last social media site that I do want to touch on is LinkedIn. I am a recent college graduate, and y'all are about to step into that portion of your life. And I cannot emphasize enough the power and importance of networking and making those professional connections. I'm a prime example because I was in your seats 5 or 6 years ago. And just for example, I met Elizabeth about 6 years ago, and now we made that connection. We kept that relationship going, and now I'm her coworker. Stay plugged in, stay involved, and good networking skills and a smile will go a long way.
Thank you, Carey. So now that y'all know all of the ways and all of the platforms that you can be involved, let's continue on with some of their content creation. The next thing I want to share with you is don't let perception win. People have a lot of ideas of what farming is, what being involved in the industry is, what being a part of FFA is. And you don't want them to lead that story. I want you to be the leaders of that story by sharing the information first and letting them know what you do as an FFA leader and what you do as, a student that's interested in agriculture, someone who is part of a family farm. And so be that forefront and that voice for agriculture. So in creating a proactive action plan, normally when I lead this type of session, I have a worksheet that I would have you fill out, and I can share that with all of the ag teachers if y'all ever want to do this as an assignment. But I want you to think of these 6 things when you're wanting to to be involved online and sharing information. We've talked about the first one, knowing your why. What is your passion? Know your passion and kind of know what your purpose is going to be in sharing and advocating for agriculture on social media sites. And then secondly, who is your audience going to be? Do you want to share information with your peers? Do you want to share information with your parents, friends, everybody? Kind of think about who your target audience is going to be. And then think about what. Obviously, you could talk about everything under the sun when it comes to agriculture, but you might have a niche area based on your family farm or your interests or what you want to do as a career. So think about the topics that you want to cover. It doesn't have to be everything. You can be very specific. If you've got beef cows and that's all you want to talk about, that's great. And then the how. What kind of content are you going to share? We're not all professionals in every arena. So if you love to take photos, you might decide just to share photos. If you have got a fun, outgoing personality and like to be on camera, you might want to shoot videos and share your information by talking instead of typing it as text. So think about the content that you want to share. And then where. Carey has already given you the breakdown of the social media platforms. I mean, this can be very simple. You can pick just one. You can pick that you're just going to share Instagram stories and it's just going to be pictures. You're not going to be on video. This can be very basic. And then think about the frequency. Do you want to share one post a week or 2 posts a month? It doesn't have to be something that you're doing every day, but just something that you're consistently sharing. And so your followers, while they're getting a mix of content, they are getting some ag in that mix. So think about the frequency. So now we're going to talk about reactive engagement online. It's kind of what it's the Wild West, you know, it's just a free for all. So you've got accurate information, you have misinformation, and it's really hard when you're not connected to an industry to decipher what is correct and what's not. So oftentimes we do have to be involved when there's information that is out there that is not accurate. So what happens when misinformation gets posted? Couple do's and don'ts. My biggest don't is do not share the article or the video, anything connected to that original post that's not correct, to give that author any more attention. We don't want to give them any more clicks or views or anything to that post that's not sharing accurate information. And don't just dive in and respond to comments with facts in your opinion. Some do's. Do think of ways that you can share accurate information on your social media pages about the same topic. So instead of sharing the article, you could reference it. Or if there's a video, you might reference the video that you know people have seen, but you're not giving them direct access to go watch it and then have all of that misinformation in their head. And I definitely encourage you, if you want to, if this is something you want to do, to engage in the comments and engage with those folks, but find relatable ways to share that information. Couple reactive action tips when you're talking to folks or engaging with folks. Use personal examples. They are seriously worth their weight in gold. They'll beat out facts every single day. So if you were raised on a farm, involved in agriculture in any way, even with your FFA experience, share those real life examples with someone over telling them facts that you've learned and memorized. People are going to connect with you better when they hear how something is in your life. Secondly, embrace skepticism. We are so connected to the agriculture industry that it's hard for us to understand where people are coming from sometimes, because it's just, that's what we live and breathe. And so you want to understand that people might have questions, and with good reasons. I think about COVID right now. We hear so much information about COVID, and sometimes it's hard to know what is true. And so just understand that that's the same for consumers when it comes to how their food is produced. They hear a lot of information, and they want to know, they want to make their decisions based on truth, but it's just deciphering what is true. So their concerns about things are real because they hear a lot of different opinions. Next, help consumers understand that their beliefs probably better align with those of ours in the industry than they think. A lot of times, we try to think what makes us different, but when you look at what we have in common with people who might not think exactly like us, we probably have more in common than you would think. When it comes to people in who are very concerned about climate change and they want to blame agriculture for it, we can foster a conversation about climate change by talking about how much we both care about the environment, and we can share ways that we're both actively taking care of the environment. So it's not pointing fingers at one another, but we're sharing what we do have in common and steps that we're taking to reach the same goal. So always kind of look for that common ground. And then, as a great organization, Farm Bureau has a lot of programs. We encourage anyone who is a member to share those resources. If you're not a member, we'd love to have you as a member, but we are definitely a great resource as well. So don't ever forget Farm Bureau. A few more do's and don'ts when you're talking to someone. And the first one is my weakness. None of us are perfect. Don't get defensive. Sometimes that's very hard for me because I'm very passionate about agriculture, and I'm very proud of the work our farmers do, and I want to defend them. But I know that I cannot react that way to a consumer when I'm talking to them, but do acknowledge their concerns. I just mentioned that concerns and consumers are real, and we need to let them know that we acknowledge that. Don't argue about currently held beliefs. Always keep that conversation future focused. Just in the example I provided with climate change, we can't just argue and hound on the negative, but keep that conversation future focused and positive, and let's talk about how we can do better. Don't communicate as if everything farmers do is necessary and appropriate. Acknowledge that there's room for improvement. We are doing the best we can with the information and the research that we have, but obviously there's always room for improvement. And so you can always share ways that people have become more efficient and more sustainable on their farms and able to produce more with less and taking care of the environment. So always keep that reality in check. And then lastly, don't use the language of the industry or the science. You want to use language that the average person is going to understand and is simplified for them. So we're not using a lot of jargon that we just use in agriculture. So you want to talk and use words that everyone's going to know and understand. Lastly, I want to share with y'all our 3 steps to engaging effectively with consumers. These we share when we do communication workshops, and they're definitely applicable for when you're engaging with consumers online. I'm sure as children, you all learned that if you catch on fire, you stop, drop, and roll. And when you pull up to a train track, you stop, look, and listen. So our 3 steps are listen, ask, share. So when you're talking to someone about agriculture, the first step is to listen. And that sounds counterproductive because I'm saying when you're talking to someone, but it's very important that we listen, and definitely without judgment. You want to hear their opinions, you want to hear their side of the story, and you want to kind of figure out where this information is coming from and what led them to believe what they believe. And then the second step is to ask questions. Invite dialogue. Ask them questions if you want to know where they sourced information from or what led them to believe something. Ask them that, but also ask questions, just everyday get to know you type questions. Ask them where they live. Ask them if they have children. Ask them what football team they pull for. Ask questions to get to know them, and try to find something that you have in common. Once you find common ground, it establishes this level of trust that then is going to allow you to step 3, share, and have the ability to share your perspective through values. So, here in South Carolina, we're very passionate about college football. I'm sure we've got lots of Clemson fans tuned in, probably some Carolina fans too. That's fine. And, you know, if you meet someone, if you're a Clemson fan and you meet someone else that is a Clemson fan, you're instantly like, okay, we can be friends. And it could be the same way with Carolina football or another activity you have in common, a TV show you're watching. It just kind of gives you something that you have in common, and does allow you to bond a little bit more. So then you're able to share and share your perspective or what you might know. So I want to share with y'all a couple examples of proactive engagement. I personally like to be active on Instagram, and I love using the stories feature. My favorite thing about that is being able to file all of my posts in highlights. So I have an agriculture highlight, and in my job, I get to travel around the state and meet a lot of folks in every area and sector of the industry. And I get to learn a lot. I mean, I didn't know anything about potatoes until I got to tour Walther Farms over in Aiken County. I got to go out and collect oysters with a company that raises oysters down in the Charleston area. And so as I learn stuff, I like to share it just to help educate all of my friends on Instagram. But I love that I can save it, and perhaps maybe somebody goes back and looks on Instagram through all of my ag stories. I also share information from our farm. My husband's family farms in McCormick County. We have beef cows and pine trees, and we spend a lot of our weekends there working and helping out. And as we're doing what we all would think is just an everyday thing, another chore on the farm, I've started taking photos and sharing. So one day I was helping, I say helping, y'all can see I'm sitting there with my dog in the middle picture, but we were vaccinating calves. And so I just took the opportunity to snap a photo and share about giving those shots and kind of comparing it to how we get vaccines as well. We recently did a controlled burn, and so I snapped a photo of that. So just try to get in the habit of, when you're doing everyday things that seem just like another chore to you, about how you might be able to share and educate your followers through that. A couple of reactive examples. This spring, one of our priority issues for our government relations team, based on a need for farmers across the state, feral hogs are pretty destructive on farmland, and there was not any way for DNR officers to be able to enforce any type of regulation of transporting feral hogs, which some people do and release, and they can destroy farmland. And so there was a bill that would help regulate that and give DNR the ability to regulate that. And it really became a hot topic on the internet. A lot of people didn't understand it, and were getting a little confused about it. And so we were able to encourage our members to go on and engage with those folks and explain it to them, and give real life examples and show pictures of hog destruction on their farms, and talk about why this is important and needed. And so we also recently had climate change and the way agriculture is affecting that or whatnot has become very popular. And y'all could go on our page as well. We've got some recent posts and engagement based on that. And so as members and as FFA members, you know, that's a great way you all can help us tell the farm story and tell our side with real life examples. Another real life example, we've got several organizations right now who are really pushing from different angles for animal ag to really be non-existent, because their belief is that animal ag is very, very detrimental to the environment. So we have an organization that was created last year in Columbia, South Carolina, called Let's Meat Less, and their whole purpose is to promote Meatless Mondays. And a lot of the information that they share it's not based on facts. And so I live in Richland County, and recently our county council endorsed this program, and it's just really struck a nerve with me because I don't think that's the role of government. And so been very, very proactive with that in being reactive. I've tried to do a lot with that. And I actually I sent a similar message to our county council and had, y'all could see on the left hand column in the middle, there's a man named Bill. He actually responded to me and wanted me to know that that was not something that the full council supported. It was led by a couple of members, and that he wanted, at the next meeting, he wanted to make sure that it was in the minutes that it was not supported by the full council. He didn't want his name attached to it. And he asked for my sources and information that he could share with the county council. So, stay engaged. It might just be one person that you're making a difference with. One person might really matter. Speaking of the power of starting the conversation, for the sake of time, I am not going to share these videos with you today, but I hope that you all, your FFA chapters, will look up these videos when we get done. I don't know how many of you follow the Farm Babe on social media, but her name is Michelle Miller, and she is a farmer and has really positioned herself to be a powerful online advocate for the industry. About this time last year, Burger King released a video commercial that didn't have a lot of fact-based information about how beef cows are affecting the environment, and it got a lot of backlash from those in the ag industry. And Michelle actually reached out to Burger King and invited them to go visit some farms. She had the CEO of marketing and a few other higher ups come, and she toured them around some farms in the Midwest. And because of that, they re-released a national campaign video of their visit and talking about how they want to do a better job of working with those in the ag industry to take care of the environment. But they based it all on facts and were able to learn a lot. And, we might not all get to go out and change the opinion of a national company, but there is power in starting the conversation. This is a quote that I really like. We cannot force someone to hear a message they are not ready to receive, but we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. So I challenge you all to take what you've learned today and be advocates online for your friends, for your family, for all of those that you're friends with. You never know who's listening and watching, and you might be surprised at the engagements and the positive engagements that you have online. Lastly, I want to put a plug for one of our youth programs that is coming up. Our Youth Leadership Conference is July 25th through the 28th, and it is at the Governor's School for Agriculture at John Delahow in McCormick County. It's open for rising juniors and seniors in high school. So if you're going to be a junior and senior in the fall, you are eligible, and we would love to have you. Our deadline to register is July 2nd. You can go to our website to register, which is just scfb.org. That's South Carolina Farm Bureau, SCFB. And we're going to have a great time. We talk a lot about being leaders. You'll develop a lot of leadership skills or enhance those that you already have. We're going to do a lot of fun activities as well. We've got our theme this year is Field of Dreams. We have a surprise guest speaker that's in the sports arena, and we're going to do a lot around sports and kind of work that into our time together. We're going to do shooting sports. We're going to be out on the lake a little bit, so we're going to have fun as well. We'll have a movie night. So it's not sitting in a classroom. It's very hands-on sessions and lots of fun. So definitely encourage you to apply. We'd love to have you attend. But that concludes our session for today. I certainly appreciate your attention and being here and being involved in FFA and being young leaders and the future leaders for our industry. Carey, is there anything you have that you want to add before we depart?
I do. Someone told me a long time ago that the most powerful tool you have is your voice. So don't let someone else do the talking for you. So for you guys, make sure that you use your voice and social media and anywhere in the online arena. It's just an amazing tool for you to amplify your voice and share your story. So that's all that I have. I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of your
Absolutely.
afternoon.
Yes. Well, thank y'all so much. We're going to let you get back to your day.